All right. Let it begin. And so it begins. Pick 10. 90's do. Number 1. Double Jeopardy. And no, we're not talking about Alex Trebek here. This is an action thriller from 1999 starring Tommy Lee Jones and Ashley Judd. And as I previously mentioned, at least I believe I did, I used to have a crush on Ashley Judd. I don't know why, but maybe she was the first woman I saw when I was hitting puberty. She was my first crush. I don't know why. It was like a movie. I don't know. I wasn't this movie, although I think we might have had this movie. I don't know. It was a movie my mom was watching, and I walked in and I saw her, and I was just like, damn. I don't know. This is my first crush. Obviously, I'm over it now. I've had Hollywood crushes that went out of style. Believe it or not, as much as I badmouth her, I used to have a thing for Megan Fox. Yeah. And Katy Perry, once upon a time ago. I don't know. It's a crush thing. They're gone now. I became realistic. But in this film, Ashley Judd plays Libby Parsons, a woman wrongfully convicted for the murder of her husband. And she starts to put some things together and realizes, she has to prove that she's innocent. And all for getting to be with her son again. That's all she wants. Tommy Lee Jones plays a parole officer named Travis Lyman, who is given her case and ends up on this wild goose chase with her when she is convinced that her husband is still alive and faked his death. Alright, so watching this movie, I figured out real quickly what was going on. Well, at first. So there's a scene in the beginning of the film where they're where she's talking about, the sailboat that he bought, and they're gonna go out there, and the maid or nanny, whatever she is, Angela, walks up, and the look she has on her face, I went, she did it. Thinking, oh, he was sleeping with her and got jealous, and she used this as a way to frame her, and then she, I don't know. But I'm thinking, well, wouldn't she try to kill the wife then if she was jealous of him, or maybe they wanted to run off and he wouldn't end it or something. But then, when the dirty deed goes down, she wakes up covered in her husband's blood. He's nowhere to be found. There's blood everywhere. There's a knife. And then they say they can't find his body, and I went, oh, they're in on it together. Sure as shit. Like, the scene that's supposed to be a surprise when he walks in and the kid yells, Daddy! I was like, yeah, I was just waiting for it, because I had figured it out. I'm like, I don't know if it's supposed to be that easy to figure out, or if that was really supposed to be a genuine, surprising scene, but I figured it out beforehand. Like, whenever there's a movie, and like, oh, we can't find the body, isn't the rule supposed to be no body, no crime? Right? I know she's standing there, covered in her husband's blood, but they can't find a body. They say, oh, it washed off. I don't know. And she gets convicted for it, all because she was standing there holding a knife. Now, when she confronts her husband about it later, he says she wasn't supposed to be convicted for it, whatever, bullshit. He was just supposed to fake his death. And then, it's like she spent 6 years in prison. She figures it out, because she gives Angela custody, which, that's another thing. They're lucky they did that and didn't give it to her parents, you know what I mean? But she gives Angela custody of Maddie, their child. And, so she's got them, and they're visiting, and then they just stop. And then she's able to figure out, where she is, and to contact, and that's when the whole, I want to see my son. Well, I was going to bring him bullshit. you know? And then, so this woman inside, I don't know how truth this is. The double jeopardy name comes from a clause in the Fifth Amendment. Okay? Supposedly, at least according to this movie, you cannot commit a crime, you cannot be convicted of a crime more than once. And so, she's already been convicted of her husband's murder, so if she was to find her husband and kill him, she couldn't be convicted of it again. I don't think that's how it works. Even in other movies, it doesn't work that way. I've seen it where they're trying to kill someone they've already sort of killed, I mean, I guess, I tried to read up what it was supposed to be, and the big words confused me. Something I gathered is that, technically, she couldn't be convicted of, you can never be convicted of killing the same person. And so there's that. Double jeopardy, yeah, whatever. You legally couldn't be convicted of murdering the same person because they're already dead. You couldn't kill the same person again. So technically, I think that's where they took that, and then they just sort of unraveled it into whatever they needed for this movie. Obviously, you couldn't be convicted of killing the same person if they're already dead, but I don't know. No. But what we get is this thrill ride with Ashley Judd just trying to see her son again. And, the performances in this are good. I think Ashley Judd is really good. Tommy Lee Jones, now, for a movie that is, when I heard the premise, it was like, wait a minute, someone's wrongly convicted of a crime, and Tommy Lee Jones is the one chasing after them. This is a fugitive with a female character, with a female lead. Sort of. Tommy Lee Jones isn't a U.S. Marshal in this. He's a, what did I say it was? A parole officer who just wants to get his client back to Washington so he can put her back in prison. But he's going through all this stuff. His car gets dumped into the water, and his other rental car or whatever it was gets smashed into a truck. He's just going through the motions trying to figure out what's going on. And then once he gets closer, one of the biggest, most unbelievable things, more so than the idea of the double jeopardy clause in this movie, is that her husband is able to not only fake his death, but change his identity twice. Now, we never learned exactly what happened with Angela, but I'm assuming she had enough and was going to squeal on him. So he did the gas thing because just conveniently, he and Maddie were both not there. By the way, you change your name completely from whatever the hell it was. Nick Parsons to Simon, what the fuck? And then he changed it again to Jonathan Devereaux. And nobody thinks, you think his name would be his picture would have been posted all over the place when he died, right? Death of this guy, body missing, presumed dead. People are like, hey, you look like that guy. Like you did all the time. Something like that. You think that in Libby's files, there would be a picture of him in there. She did this, that's the person she convicted, or she killed, she convicted for the murder, whatever. But he has to get faxed picture of a Nick Parsons, and at first I rolled my eyes because he's like, and this is what they sent me, and it's a picture of just some guy named Nick Parsons. I'm like, okay, we're doing this. Did he fake the picture, or did they really just send the wrong one? And he's like, there were 6. I'm like, oh, he's playing him. From the moment he walked into the office and was doing this whole thing, wanting a bribe, he's playing him. Just so he can get a confession. Because he tries to murder Libby by really, it's really a stupid thing. Like, he locks her in a coffin with another body, so she suffocates. But it's in a mausoleum, not in the ground, so she's able to get out because he doesn't know she has a gun. So she's able to blast her way out. That's when she gets out, she's walking, and she meets up with Nick, and they go with this idea. He fully believes her by this point, because he starts to question, when he talks with Jonathan, he starts to think there's something sketchy with this guy. And so he starts to try to put the pieces together himself, and they, get him, The problem here is that they end with a shootout where he's like, he doesn't give up. He doesn't go, okay, take me in, and I'll do it. No, he decides to try to kill both of them, which is not going to help his case. And Libby ends up shooting him twice, killing him. And then they're just going to be like, okay, I'm going to take you back to Seattle, and I'm going to get you a full pardon, and you're going to be able to see your son again. And I'm like, no. Like, you're going by the double jeopardy. You can't be convicted of the same thing. They will pardon her for the first murder. Right? They pardon her for the first murder. Now she actually did murder her husband. So that's a whole new bag of things. Like, yes, the whole double jeopardy thing in this is played for, you can't be convicted of the same crime twice. But here's the situation. Even if that were true, which it's not, but even if that were true, she would be pardoned of the crime, which means she didn't commit it in the first place, but now she did, therefore she'd be convicted of this crime. Now, you could say it was self-defense, but a jury and a judge are going to see it like, oh, well, she figured out he wasn't dead and purposely went to kill him. Double jeopardy clause or not, that is means. That is motive. That's what I meant. That is motive. That is motive means she's going back to jail, prison, life. Like, whether Lehman wants to say it was self-defense, or they want to claim the bullshit double feature, but double jeopardy. He is going to pardon her of that first, like, the whole thing. You can't be convicted twice. So they pardon her, that means she never did the crime. Therefore, she can be convicted of it again because she didn't, because that's being struck from the record, right? So technically, she wouldn't have done that. At least that's how I see it. I could be wrong. Technically, she still murdered her husband. Self-defense or not. And sure, she's got a witness at times, this time to say it was self-defense. Sure. I don't know, but it ends with her seeing her son again. And it was a nice scene. She gets to see him again. Yeah. I enjoyed this movie. I thought there was it's not a full-out action movie. It's more like it's a fugitive type movie, like in the vein of something like The Fugitive, and even like the first Bourne movie, like The Bourne Identity, before Paul Greengrass came in and decided to make it like Mission Impossible and action thrillers and have action scenes and fight scenes. The first one is generally just Matt Damon running around. Should have some fight scenes, but this, with Ashley Judd, I thought it was pretty good. Not bad for a first watch, too. All right. Let's roll the dice, shall we, for the next one? Don't turn it off. I'm always afraid. This last time when I did that, 5 and 5, 10. There is no 10 anymore. That doesn't count. 4 doubles. I get to roll again. No. We get 4, I guess. 4. Yeah, scoot back a little bit. No. Yeah. So 4 it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yoink. What do we got here? Really? Okay. It is Big Lebowski. Okay. I was hoping for a fun one now. I mean, I hear the Big Lebowski is good, but still. I don't know. We just had an action thriller. What is it, a comedy? Coen Brothers. 2 hours long. Yeah, okay. So, I guess this will be the next one I do. Finally checking this out. Never seen it before. There's a lot of first time watches, like I said. 1, 2, 3, 4 first time watches. The rest I've seen. So, what are your thoughts on Double Jeopardy? Let them know in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.